Um, well, Good afternoon, dear all. Thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure for us to be here. We are Irene and Jaume. We are Daad Arquitectes. We are a tiny practice based in Mallorca. And today we are going to explain several projects that we did these last years. My voice is now so high, and I am quite tired, sorry. Then, well, I was saying that we are going to explain several projects that we have been working these last years. And we would like to, we like to explain them under this topic, matters. No matters, that means from different points of view, can mean things that are important for us, no matters, no? Or things that matter, things that are topics that we normally work with. But matters is also related to materials, no? To the matter that we used to build. No? We used to say that this could be seen as our territory, no? The Mediterranean Sea, as part of a place, an anthropological place, a place that has its own culture, and where we share different points of view over the same base. We're going to walk over these 5 different topics or 5 different matters, no? We are going to start for the first one. The first one is typology. And it's related to a project that we just finished last year. And it's how tradition works, in a sense, no? Tradition always works in the same sense. Tradition works always with repetition of the same thing, no? Craftsmen always do the same share, but it's never the same share. With one repetition and the next one, the share becomes much more perfect, much more. Each repetition makes the craftsman to make a much more perfect object at the end, no? And with this repetition, like saying the same thing, they are not copying the tradition as a dead body. The word tradition comes from the Latin tradere, that means bring things forward. They are not just copying, but bringing those things forward with each repetition. And this is the way that we love to work with. And with each repetition, again, repetition in Latin is idem. Idem, it's the base of the word's identity. Then with repetition of the same typology, of the same material, of the same strategy, you create this identity on the place where you are working.
We could agree on that, the traditional typology that gives the identity to the Mediterranean area is the patio house. Sorry, esto es para pasar por adelante, ¿no? Vale. The impluvium, an efficient typology, a climate control machine, and a device for storage in water rain. Typology converted into tradition for its efficiency, and a room without roof. A room that becomes a representative space in Lombardia, with its business family palaces, but without losing this effectiveness. Here, it's the same typology that we find in Tower Island. In the typology that the Mallorcan merchants brought from their travels. They copying and repeating and transforming its And this is the clastra or the cloister, and the translation of the patio to the country house. It appears from the need to appropriate all to the space and from the need to the protected against the weather conditions and to collect water. And the regionalist architects reproduced and reinterpreted the traditional patio typology, in this case, John Knudson in Mallorca, or Zanuso, or some architects from Mallorca, Siza, or Alto. And we can understand the patio as an oasis, or the patio understood as a collective space. But we don't want to copy the traditional architecture in an epidermical way. We try to be part of the tradition, and we try to bring its knowledge further.
This could be a zoom out to the site, first approach, a zoom out to the site where we work to build this house, this Jaime and Isabel's house. No? This is an urbanization, a common urbanization, not very nice place. And this is the first photo we took from that site. Then if we first have done a zoom out, watching to the local typologies, in this case the patio, then we must do a zoom in on the site where we are working. No? In the first photo we took, you can see the sea at the end of the image, no? And there is a very soft slope to the south. Then it's nice orientation, nice views, etc. And while we were walking over the plot, we were finding all around these rocks that were appearing on the surface of the terrain, no? And also, here and there, different flowers, different wild plants that were making a kind of a wild garden, we could say, no? Without water, anything. Then, the first thing related to the zoom in was to keep the views of those guys walking through on the street, no? Over our plot. And the first strategy is like to bury the house in the terrain, like being part of the terrain, keeping the views over the house. Adding, at the same time, the patio in the middle, with the intention of being part of this zoom-out view of this approach to the local typology. And if it's possible, we will bring a part of this garden that we found on the terrain over the roof of the house. Then as a first approach, or as a diagrammatic approach to the typology, we could say that the original cluster, this cluster that Irene explained you, we could draw like in a square, very simple shape, no? But we were trying to transform this original shape into something else, no? In this case, we start to push the inner facades of this cloister inside of it, and getting kind of different spaces inside the same space. Finally, we decide to have a kind of a clear strategy by pushing only the center of these facades into the patio. Then 5 spaces appear inside of the main space, the main oasis, the main outer space of the cloister we have inside. Then 4 were in the corners and another one in the middle. Then we said, okay, we could cover part of it, the center of it, with a kind of a porch. I'm saying kind of a porch. We will see how it finishes finally. And we will get 4 patios and a porch in the middle. Then the typology, this local typology of the cluster has been transformed. As the cluster typology that you saw before was organizing kind of units of a structure and units of rooms like a necklace all around an empty space. we keep on this. Like every room, it's a structural unit that is part of this perimeter that defines an empty space in the middle, an outer space. Some of these rooms want to be part of this patio, want to be look inside of the patio. They are put in the patio, defining these 5 spaces that we were talking before. And the center of it will be covered. We'll see how. This is the first model that we were also studying how the roof could become a kind of an artificial topography, because this is the highest point and this is the lowest. It's not completely perpendicular to the street. It goes in diagonal. Then the definition of the rooms comes from the structure. Then every room is defined by bearing walls all around of each one of them. No? Then this could be the bearing walls and the concrete slab that define the house. All around the house, all the services are placed in the perimeter of this house in order to get views of this interior, to obtain a free interior to get these views from this patio. Then all the services, like toilets, kitchens, technical rooms, storage, etc., are in this perimeter. And this is it. This is the street is on top, sorry, always, no? Then this part here, it's completely buried, no? And here the terrain starts to be at the same level of the house. And the house is divided in 2. We could say from here, you see the stairs there, then all this part, it's 90 centimeters over the one here, in order not to excavate that much. Because the terrain has these rocks, then in order not to excavate that much, we decide to have these 2 levels, no? The one on top is the bedrooms, no? Then these are the parents' area, children's, etc., no? And this is the public area, we could say, no? That living, dining, and kitchen organized in these diagonals, no? Then every room takes part of the views and of the patio, or 2 patios and the views, no? This plan, it's the same house, but cutting over the lintels of the doors, then over 240, we could say. As you can see, the house is kind of transforming the space when you are looking up. It's only one level, but things are happening, no? This could be one of these plans that we like to show, no? Like working by hand and seeing how many projects have been dying while drawing, no? There were balls in a moment, no? And how the construction starts to be part of the project. Each one of these lines, small lines, it's a brick. Then bricks define the space, no? These bricks and construction define these rooms that were bearing walls, etc., no? Then you can see also the pavement and how every element starts to be in the place, no? Just with this schematic diagram, no? Like there is a necklace and some rooms are inside of the patio. If we cut in this case, in this case we have the street like here, no? It's going down. Now we are cutting from south to north and doing like parallel sections, no? In order to show how this simple scheme is bringing us a kind of a complex situation of different spaces. The first section, as you see, there is the 90 centimeters level and the 0 level, but everything is interior. Then these are the sleeping rooms area, and this is the area for the fireplace in the living room. No? If we move the section kind of 3 or 4 meters, it's not everything interior. We find interior, exterior, interior, exterior, and interior, and there are different levels. One exterior level in 90 centimeters over the other one. If we move, there is an interior, an interior covered, let's see how, another exterior, another interior, then interior, exterior covered, then the section is kind of changing because of this very schematical organization, no? But it's bringing us kind of a certain complexity, no? And as you start to see in the sections, these are only section drawing constructive elements, building elements, no? And as you can see, they start to come, they start to have different elements that are going to characterize the interior of the house. I have been saying that the central part of this house was going to be covered. No? I said a kind of a porch. In a certain moment that we weren't happy with this, with the way we were covering that porch, we did this model, this stupid model that sometimes the architects do, just to study how we were thinking this. No? These are just the interior facades of the rooms that are looking the patio, then this is the central porch, and these will be patios. No? We were thinking that this roof was going to be the fifth facade. These are stupid things that architect says sometimes, no? And we were thinking on this, no? What we were wondering, we were looking for a space that in summer could bring us much more shadow than in winter. In order, well, Mallorca is quite hot, then in summer we would like to have a shadow, but not in winter, because we would like to let the sun in. But with this strategy, nothing happens. This is not true. There is much more sun in summer than in winter. Then this was not the solution. This was just a game of an architect playing with shapes and windows. No? But how we find the solution of this space? Always doing the same, like looking back and moving forward. This is an outer space in a small house my parents have in the countryside, no? Like in most of the houses, old houses, traditional houses that we have in Mallorca in the countryside, most of them have in front of them a vine tree. A vine tree can give you an incredible constructive details. It gives you shadow in summer, but not in winter. Then it works so well, it's very cheap, no? And only having a very thin structure, you allow the vegetation, the green, to grow on it, then you will get the shadow in summer, but not in winter. If this strategy was not possible, we were also looking for these cane shadows, that it was also possible. While we're doing this investigation, we were finding these incredible, amazing spaces, in the Mediterranean, where we cannot say that if in this photograph it's incredible because there is no architecture, or it's incredible because it's all the architecture I can imagine, But if you imagine here in August having a lunch, it's amazing, or doing a football match or doing a party, I don't know. But this shadow is bringing a kind of a freshness inside of this space. Then we took this and we put it in the house directly. Let me make a break. In this image, we are joining a photo that is very well known. It's Sigurd Levernes in the church of St. Peter in Klippan, where he said that Mr. Levernes didn't cut any brick to build the church. At the bottom of it, there is a sentence that doesn't belong to Levernes, but belongs to Louis Kahn. Louis Kahn said, even a brick wants to be something. Every element that you bring in a building has to be something. If you hold a brick that weights, then this brick must be something. Put it in the work with consciousness of this. I keep in the break. I'm sure that most of you have seen a lot of time this house. This is Jaume house in Mallorca, Can Lis, I want to explain you this house. I just want you to pay attention to one element. In this very last room, this is 2 meters 40. It's 3 pieces of sandstone of 80 centimeters. And in the middle of this small room, there is this point. This point is a column. What is doing a column in the middle of a room that is 2 meters 40? It's a column with a beam on it, like making a T. What is doing here? We are convinced that Jaume placed this column, like this one, in order to say that in a beer ring wall house, even a column wants to be something. Everything, every element wants to be something. It's the same of this one, again Levernes. Why Levernes puts this column in the middle of the church, in between the public and the priest, no? All these guys are in the shadow of this column, no? Because that column, a T-shaped column, a Christ in the middle of the church, wants to be something. This is Jornut's own T-shaped structure, and this is Leveren's. We move, explaining every building element of the house. If every element wants to be something, we'll start in the outer layer of the facade. How we build this facade? As we have said, in the plot, there were a lot of rocks all around the plot. Then we need to do an excavation, and with excavation, we obtained a lot of stones. There was a waste material, something that we didn't need, no? But instead of throwing them away, we put them inside a frame, no? To build cyclopean concrete all around the house without any iron, just on the beams, no? But this facade, we could say, that is a deposit, a tank of stones. If the outer layer is made of stones, the inner layer will be made also of a material coming from the terrain. If the stones were coming from our terrain, the inner layer of them will be built with bricks, then bricks made of earth coming also from the island, no? Then every room has the dimension of a multiple of a brick. Then no brick was going to be cut, no? Then in those bearing walls, we are going to put in some furniture. At the beginning, it was going to be like wooden furniture. At the end, it becomes like concrete furniture. But we also could explain the house only talking about the pavement, for example. We have said that all the rooms of the house are organized around this cloister. There is a very typical, a very traditional way of solving the pavements in the island. It's these hydraulic tiles making these flower carpets inside of each room. Then each room has its own carpet. Then we could explain the whole house just talking about the pavements. But if we move to the structure, to the horizontal structure, in this case, there was a point that this was the first house that we had from a client. Then not a friend, not a neighbor, not a familiar, it was a client, a real client, and we are really happy about it. It was a very huge house for us. It's close to 300 meters, and it's in square meters, and it's incredible. Then we decided not to use the prefabricated concrete beams, but to do them in situ. Then in this case, we had like more distance between them. It was kind of a much more serious and with another appearance, no? Then in between them, we don't have the typical 60, 70, 80 centimeters. We have 1 meter 25, or what is the same, 5 bricks in between them. But we also could explain the space in between those beams. And we could explain how these beams crash all this direction that we have in the rooms in the middle of the courtyard in order to have this unfinished structure that will be finished when the garden, the green, the plants from the roof will grow over it in summer, having leaves, but not in winter, no? Then with all this traditional structure that we had around. However, if you start to ask every element that gets in the site how it wants to be, you get inside of an illness. No, you start to become ill about this matter. No, then when you said, okay, we have these bearing walls made of bricks, and we have to place there some electrical elements, some cables, some switches, some sockets. But of course, I'm not going to cut any brick in order to have the cables there. Then we were working with these 3 elements that you are going to see step by step. The wall made of bricks, some wooden blocks that will substitute some bricks, and the blocks that were going to be like superficial plugs and switches. Then when we had an electrical element, we were taking out some bricks in order to substitute them, for the wooden block. And over the wooden block, we will screw the sockets and switches. Okay, this could be a nice photo of texture of some bricks, no? But it's not. If you pay attention to every brick, for example, to the joining between these bricks, we could say that this is A, this is B, this is A, this is B, this is A, this is B, this is A, this is A, this is A. What happens here? Here there are two, no? Then if we move over, this is A, B, A, B, A again. Two more. Even a brick wants to be something. What happens there? The size of one brick, it was 5 centimeters, but the size of the plugs was 6 centimeters. Then we couldn't put one plug on one brick. Then we need to make double rows. In the 90 centimeters, the 2 meters 20 were to plug the lightings, and on the 50 centimeters. And this per two, because we have two levels in the house. There is the 90 and the 90 plus 90, the 50 and the 50 plus 90, and the 240 and 240 plus 90. And this become a game and a strategy to solve all this stuff. This is, in this case, it's a small model with it. For the house, it's kind of 1 to 40 or something. But to start to study how these elements were going to build this interior, no? There were beams, there were lintels, there were bricks, no brick cutter, there were etc. No? I want just you to pay attention to one thing. No? It's, as I said, it's a bearing wall house. No? What is doing this column here? Even a column wants to be something in a house made of walls. But why this column is here and not here? Every engineer will have placed there. Me too, but the column not. The column doesn't want to be a beam, the column wants to be a column. But what happens on the floor of this hole that seems a mistake in the model? We all know that the columns doesn't finish over the tiles of the pavement. The columns are finishing under them, in the foundations. While we're doing this model, we were like trying to convince the client not to isolate this area here in order to see the foundations through the column. It's obvious that we didn't convince them, but we get into another solution that it was completely coherent with this situation. Then here you can see the furniture this is the dining room, etc. No? And of course, if we have two layers of brick, the inner and the inner layer and the outer that is looking to the patio, you can imagine that the lintels that you see from the inside and the lintels that you see from the outside are not the same. No, this we could say that this is a letter P-shaped lintel. No, in the patio it's a T here and another one there. Then you play also with this. Only with the elements that build the house, no? Well, this is a photo from the street 2 years ago, and when we just have planted the plants on top of the roof, and the house is quite lucky because it is in the opposite process as I am, no? He's like having much more plants year by year. This is last spring, where it seems that, okay, the house is not hidden, but it becomes part of the landscape, no? You see the cyclopean concrete also, no? That will allow the dirtiness or the patina of time to become part of it, no? Then from the street, from the fence, you can see over it, no? To the sea. And we start to see that something happens here, no? There is this oasis, no, inside of it, no? The house doesn't have any door, just one. Then it's quite easy to understand where is the entrance. On the opposite side, there are huge openings looking to the views, no? And even when we are down in the plot, we are able to see the sea over the house. Then when we get in, we start to see, well, what we were showing on the model, no? That every element is something. And here we see how the column finishes, no? At the end is we are not kitsch at all, but it's a kitsch detail that was explaining that this column, doesn't finish here, but it continues until the foundations, no? Then we move into the dining room, and we see like the interior just characterized by these elements one by one. From the dining room to the kitchen, no? We are in between patios, no? Now we get into the kitchen, we are looking back, no? We see all these wooden elements that are having the switches on it, no? We move to the back part of the sleeping rooms, of the bedrooms, and we keep on seeing like all the interior is based with this accumulation of this complexity of elements that must be there, that are part of the construction system, no? Here you have the double row of bricks that allows us to put this wooden block. Here we are in the two rooms of the daughters that are on the upper level of the central part of the upper level, no? Through these windows we can see the sea, not in this photo, but through the dining room we can see the sea when we are sitting, like doing the homework. And all the walls, every room is based on this same strategy, no? Then we get into this oasis, into this patio, into this main space that is kind of a surprise, no? While you are walking around the house, no? When you get in, you discover these diagonals, no? Moving from one patio to the other, under this unfinished porch that will be finished not this summer, because last summer was very short. This spring it was kind of a bit better, but I think next summer will be completely covered, but step by step. We don't must, we have to wait. Then you see all these kind of patios quite with a lot of vegetation, no? Then, nowadays they are much more wilder, as you can imagine, no? The vegetation has grown a lot, and it's part of this oasis, no? And there is water, you can hear the noise of the water, etc. But I'm so sorry not to have that much time. If we have much time, we could explain all the projects that are related to this typology, but not explaining the typology, but explaining our habits, the habits that we have in our latitude, in our island, no? Our habits are related to this outdoor room, no? We love this sketch by Bertrand Rudowski, done in 1946, no? In this sketch we can see one room where we see a bed, a lamp, a table, some chairs, a piano. But we also see a pine tree, some grass, but it has no roof. But it's written interiors. Then we are kind of in an in-between space, in between the interior and the exterior. And based on this, and in our habits, we did this small house, less than 100 square meters, that is a patio house where the patio is not in the middle, the patio is in the corners, no? Then there is this public program, no? Like kitchen, dining and living, and 2 bedrooms. But as you can imagine, you have each room has its double, no? You can imagine like cooking inside of the kitchen, but also doing a barbecue outside in the patio. You can imagine sleeping in the bedroom, but also having a siesta in a hammock under a tree. having some talks or watching TV in the living room, but also reading or something, or another living room that is outside without roof. We could explain this house. As you're going to see, like there is a very clear volume, but when you are in front of it, you are trying to get in, you don't know exactly where you are getting, no? You don't know if this is an interior or this is an exterior. There is no floor, there is no ceiling, there is no frame, there is no window, but you are in a room, no? When you are in, you find your double always, no? These diagonals across the house, no? But we don't have that much time. We will move to the second matter, second topic that could be understood as material, but not material in the sense we see until now, but as a waste that we try to use in our benefit.
Okay, we can look here an image that is showing that, and that the needs of the past have changed, where we used to keep a horse cart, now we need to keep a car, no? Here, the horse cart and the new necessity. The popular knowledge tells us that it is not necessary to start from scratch. We can transform, we can reuse, not recycling, just reusing. And we can reuse and transform an old door that opened into the interior of the storage in a new door that allows us to solve new situations. This is the old door that they reuse. And the traditional knowledge does not throw anything with the spokes of a bicycle wheel. We repair a Potter container and give it a new life. No waste. And here, what we have and what we need, no? We have a steep slope and a field full of stones. And to cultivate, we need a flat land without stones. With these stones, with the waste, we build walls that provide us with flat terraces. These terraces. We relocate it with a benefit, no? This is the walls, and once again, they need a place for the ship out of the sea, and they carefully take out the rock, even forming the steps with the same job. And then they build the storage for the boat with these stones that they have. And this is an image from a building of Josep Maria Jujol. Josep Maria Jujol is a modernist architect from Catalonia that worked in this sense, and he was a master reusing material.
Then in this house we work in this sense, no? Not throwing things away, but reusing them. As you have seen, it's a house in a village where every building is in between party walls. But in this case, we were in a corner. We were not in between two party walls. Then instead of having just one direction from the street to the courtyard, from the street to the patio, we have the possibility of having cross directions. And these cross directions start to define the structure of the house. Then once again, bearing walls, defining rooms, and every room tries to look in a different direction. In these walls, we opened windows from the interior to the exterior, but also windows from the interior to the interior. In this case, we obtain kind of diagonal views through the house that were kind of bringing relations in between the different rooms, no? As we saw in the previous house, in this case, also the services, stairs, terraces, bathroom, toilets are placed in the perimeter in order to keep this relation between the different rooms, no? This is the basement, and on the ground floor we can see all the services all around, defining the dining, kitchen, living, and studio, and everyone is related, no? Every room is placed in a different level. Because of the neighbor we had here, we would like to see over him, then we try to bring like the levels one over the other in order to have better views. And this is the upper level with the sleeping rooms with some double spaces, etc. From this simple scheme, once again, because of the section, we start to get like a much complex space, no? Like spaces that are related in different levels, no? Etc. And this could be a resume of it, no? There is these services all around and the structure defining, the building structure defining these four spaces. But in any case, we are talking about material. If we go back to the beginning of the project, when we were there for the first time, we found that there was a building already on site, a building made of marés. Marés is this local sandstone that you have seen in Canlis, the Jornudson house. This marés that is quite pinky, we could say, no? Or in between yellow and orange, no? Okay, this is it, no? Pay attention to these small holes, no? We're going to talk later on. This is 80, this is 40, and the deepness is 20. Instead of doing a demolition, of throwing all this existing building away, these tons of stone that we had on site, we decided to disassemble it and storaging it. And we discover the hidden face of these stones. We store them. How were these stone placed in site years before? This is a construction that has kind of 50 years, no? They were doing these scarves on the hidden sites, no? Then they were putting very liquid mortar, and this liquid mortar was entering under the stones, no? They were putting one over the other. Then with some wooden pieces, they were like lifting the stones in order to get this liquid mortar inside of it. And then they took out the wooden pieces and they obtained the holes that you have seen before, no? Then these were the scarves. This. And what we did is what tradition always does. Instead of throwing things away and starting from scratch, tradition always manipulate the material, the matter, in order to give it another second life. In this case, we just cut each piece of 80, 40, 20 in two, obtaining two pieces of 20, 20, 80. Somehow, because when we were dismantling it, some of the stones broke, and they were like, some were 80, some 60, some 55. Doesn't matter, no? When we start to put the stones on site, there was a builder that, Adrian, that was starting from this side, another one starting from the other side. And Adrian, that wasn't really convinced of placing the stones with this hidden side on the facade. He was like putting problems in front of the works, no? And one of the problems he brought was, what I'm going to do when I have a stone that that makes a gap of 5 centimeters. Do I have to place a stone of 5 centimeters? I said, no, please not. Just bring another stone of 5 centimeters more. He said, okay, I'm going to call you because you haven't hold none of these stones. They are really heavy. One of each is kind of 100 kilos. Then I was not able to hold one of them, as you can imagine. No? However, there could be a problem, these gaps of 5 centimeters. No? In any case, we decided to look for a solution. There is a tile in Mallorca, very common, a clay tile, this one, that the size of it is 20 per 20 per 1 centimeter per height. This is a very traditional one. Then if this was a stone and this is clay, we could say that these are brothers, no? These are part of the same family, coming from the same terrain, from the same island. Then instead of filling the gap with a new stone, we decided to infill with a library of tiles, as many as you need, depending on the size of the gap. If you need 5 centimeters, you put 2 tiles. If you have 7 centimeters, you put 3. Then the problem was quite solved. Then this was the area of the facade that was solved with the existing sandstone, with the existing marais, no? With some of the tiles solving these small gaps. No? I have to say that finally, at the end of the work, when we were growing up, Adrian, the builder, starts to love it, how it was, and he was calling me to put some tiles. Hey, Jaume, can I put some tiles here? He was sending me photos by the WhatsApp, understanding that he was loving it. And there are some that are fake, we could say, and some that are like completely necessary. No? However, we need much more marais, much more sandstone than the one there was there before. We need to buy more sandstone. No? In fact, the very first drawing was finishing like with a bigger, with a smaller finishing, no? But we finished with the old sandstone before. Then this was becoming bigger, but it doesn't matter. Then we used the new sandstone around the places where we need much more precision, like the lattices, the frames of the windows, and the finish of the house. No? Then we went to the same quarry where that previous sandstone was bought 50 years ago or 40 years ago, because of the knowledge of the craftsmen that they know regarding they just see the color of the density of it and they say, okay, this is from this quarry. No? And we went to buy, once again, a year later, perhaps the one we had before is from here, and now we bought it from there. And the color is a bit different, but it doesn't matter. Then this is the final result where everything is kind of overlapped. No? Always with this idea of not throwing things away, but reusing them. Another break. No work can be solved with just one material, one element. No? If you see these arches, these crazy arches, no, by Vincent Ganivet, we could say that these are made of concrete blocks, but they are not. They are made of concrete blocks and some pieces in between them. The arch is possible because of these small pieces of wood. Without these small pieces of wood, the arch is not possible. You will need something else. Then it's not only an arch made of bricks and something else. And this something else, it's the trick, the thing that allows you to build it. Once again, Josep Maria Jujal. We will insist a lot in this guide. You have to look at it. Then, in this case, we were needing these small tiles to infill the small gaps. And at a certain moment, we decided to say, okay, we could join these tiles in our trip to solve different problems. For instance, this is one of the windows. It's kind of 1.50 meter depthness of this this window, no? And this is the facade, the 20 centimeters. You have to understand that here we have tons of weight falling, no? And from this wall to the one we have in our back, no? We need to solve it with the stones. Then the only way of solving this with the stones is making a small vault. Then this is a vault, 5 centimeters high in the center, no? Made of stone of 20 centimeters. Then the weight we have here and the way we have there is completely different. We cannot put the two stones together. They will crack. That's why we built the joint, once again, with these small tiles. No? Then it's like building the crack in a structural way between the vault and the facade. And what's more, when it's raining and the water falls for the facade, it will try to get in. But here it will make a cut and will drop down. No? But we ask to this tile to solve much more points. For instance, in these terraces, we need a handrail. No? The handrail was going to be built with iron. And the iron cannot enter directly inside of the stone, of course. You will have like dirtiness from the oxide of iron falling on the mares. In this case, we put 3 of these clay tiles. You have to know that the reddish color that they have is because of the oxide of iron that the earth has. No? Then in this point, this point there was going to be the iron, and when the iron oxidates, it will like become the same oxide of iron that there is in the tiles. No? Then it's not a house built just with stone, but stones and tiles. No? Here you can see the vault covering the windows, and this is more or less how it finishes in the outer part, in the facade, with these overlapping materials that seem to solve different constructive problems. The lattices with the new and the rest with the old one. Some of the Adrian's tiles. And when we get in, we discover all this relation in between the bearing walls and the different rooms, no? Through these windows, no? That connects the studio and the kitchen, the studio and the living room, no? That's thanks of putting all the services in the perimeter, no? In any case, if we have more time that we don't have, we could explain also this other project, and we, instead of arriving until the centimeter, we could arrive into the millimeter. We could explain why this aggregate is like this, no? This is a joint of 1 centimeter, and the aggregate is in between 2 and 6 millimeters. There was a pre-existing pavement made of clay tiles. This is in Barcelona. In Catalonia, they have very strong, as you can see, they are much more red. They have much more oxide of iron. Then there was a pavement built of this and different pavements all around. The owner of this, this is an apartment, the owner of it has also a company that makes hydraulic tiles, in Mallorca, no? And he was wanting to have his own tiles in the apartment, but also to have floor heating, no? Then we decided to remove all these tiles, but we didn't throw them away. We built the new pavement with some carpets that traditionally have been done with these hydraulic tiles, and what we did is to collect some, not all, of the clay tiles. We smash them, and we attain the aggregate to infill the joints in between the tiles. And we did the pattern, the carpet, no? And then we solve, because this is 1 centimeter, it needs much stronger, much thicker, much bigger aggregate, no? And in this case, it's the old clay tiles that were in the pre-existing state, no? And this is how it finished, no? But we don't have time, and we have to move to the next topic, to the next matter. Could be called palimpsest, no? We are never, we have seen before some examples here around, no? We are never going to be the first one acting in a place, no? We are in an anthropological planet, no? And it's not possible to act from zero, to start from zero. We always have something under our feet, no?
Here we have a map of Troy that shows us different times on the same space. No? layers of the interventions overlapping ones with the other old lines sharing space with new ones. Not demolishing, not erasing the past, not starting from the scratch, but adapting to it, to taking advantage of it. The old palace walls were reused for the new houses, and some rooms were transformed into squares. Squares, no. Lot of buildings have been built as a palimpsest overlapping and reusing and revaluing it. This is the Cordoba Mosque with the print of an old church, Catholic church. And not only buildings, but also cities, no? An old Roman circus became a square. Its radial walls became party walls in between the different houses. And the important, not erasing, not forgetting, and not hiding, no? But taking advantage of the past and reusing it and revaluing it, no? These are items from the same set. Here, this is Thomas Bosch, okay.
This is very small work, but it takes us a lot of time. We start in 2011, and we haven't finished yet. Then it's a long time for doing an apartment, no? This is an apartment in the city center of Palma, the main city of the island, no? The apartment has two streets, and it's in a corner, no? This is the neighbor, this is the access, no? And this is how we found the apartment when we enter, no? It was empty. Then as a strategy, as a distribution strategy, we organized 3 different closed rooms in order to get these diagonals through it, in order to obtain a bigger space, no? A bigger, apparently bigger apartment, no? And there are 2 bedrooms with a bathroom and the kitchen, and the spaces in between, the entrance and playground, the dining and the living room, no? But we were talking about palimpsest, no? We could say that this is the result of the total palimpsest when we overlap all its layers. And this is the first image that we showed to the clients. This is an image that was starting to show, and we didn't knew it at that moment, the strategy of a palimpsest, no? There was an existing support. The existing support was made of marés. Marés is very wet because it's very porous. It absorbs a lot of the water. Then it's very cold. There was a structure that was independent of the facade, no? And we need to build. We need to isolate this one single layer of facade, and we need to build a perimeter over it. The structure was in concrete, the pre-existing was in marés, no? You're just going to see why and how. We add some bricks to cover all the isolation, no? And finally, with the distribution, we add wood in order not to charge the existing structure that much, no? Then different materials for different reasons and overlapping as different layers in the same place, no? Then this was the pre-existing perimeter. This is how we find it, because the owner bought it to an old owner that has started its own works, but without finishing them. There was a structure that wasn't touching the facade, it was independent, no? this very nice structure from the 60s, 70s. And the beams in between this main structure were built in clay pieces, clay U-shaped pieces. This is 40 centimeters, then one next to the other. It's a way of building in situ beams. No, it's a system that is not really popular there. It's not very common. Then we decided to underline also to revalue this system. No. Then another element that we found there was an existing pavement made of concrete that was that has been poured in between all around the pre-existing partitions that the old owner has thrown. No? Then in between them we have a gap of the old divisions. No? Then we had a problem. We had a gap in between a pavement made of concrete. The first solution was to infill that gap with some other concrete. But the concrete, when it dries, it gets smaller, then it cracks, then it will be like a different concrete. Even the color was going to be different. No? Then instead of pouring concrete to solve this constructive problem, what we did is to infill the gap with another material, in this case with a stone, that when it dries, because it doesn't dry, no, it doesn't make cracks in between the different concrete pavements around. No? And this is what we had when we clean the pre-existing partitions. No? We put everything at the same level. We cut it like in parallel, no? And we use it to pass the electrical cables under it, no? And then some magician, some a very nice craftsman came to do this very nice puzzle made of marble, no? We were trying to solve all this gap with one stone. I would like to have just one stone to solve all this gap, no? But it wasn't possible. Then instead of having one stone that it wasn't possible, we decided to have in different pieces, no? But not cutting never when the stone changes the direction, in order to get the continuity in between the different stones. Then you have always the cut in between the corners of the stone, no? And there is a very nice one, there is this T-shaped one that works at the first, in the first one works, because I thought it was going to be broken, but it didn't, no? Then we have this other layer, the layer of the pre-existing partitions, no? The pre-existing divisions in the apartment, no? Then we need to cover the cork that was isolating the perimeter of the apartment, no? And at that moment, we didn't have, we had a very small budget, as you can imagine, in every work we do. Huh? Then I was going to the factory where they do the bricks, and I was asking, like a very stupid guy, like, what kinds of brick are you doing? We say, well, hey, we do bricks. Here you have the magazine where everything is explained, etc. No, but I want to look with you what kind of bricks you do, because I'm interested in knowing. Well, he took me very kindly to walk around the factory, and in a corner there was an amount of bricks full of dust. And I asked him, what is this? Oh, I'm never going to sell this. This is a problem for me. Well, this is a system that we have in Spain. It's called termoarcilla. We could say thermoclay. It's a system that normally we build a wall in this sense, no? In this horizontal sense. But normally this side is 29 centimeters, no? And you put one next to the other with this tooths, one inside the other, no? Then you get a system that, because it has a lot of cells of air, it's quite isolated, and it works with one layer. It works in Mallorca, it works, okay? However, you cannot cut one piece of brick, because you break the system, you break the cells, no? However, in Mallorca, anyone use the system as it is needed. However, they have this 29 centimeters length, but we don't have any house that is multiple of 29. That's why they invent these 3 pieces that are sold as one of 10, 5, and 10 to adjust the dimension of the wall to your project. No? However, in Mallorca, no one is using this. But this guy has to make them in order to obtain the stamp of the system. Then he has to produce them, but he doesn't sell them. Then he has an amount of them. And I start to look at them like, okay, I'm going to get them. I'm going to get your problem. And then the price started to rise, no? Because he saw that I was interested in, until a certain moment that I said, okay, half the price and I get, if not, you stay with them, no? And we took them. Then these are the pieces that were very cheap to cover all the perimeter of the house. But, instead of using, instead of using this as a facade, we were going to use the other one to put it in this direction, just to have 10 centimeters of wall, no? And we're using the hidden face of it. But imagine that you have to put one socket, one electrical element over here. These pieces are 19 per 19, normally 29 long, but the side is 19 per 19. Then, once again, we have our famous tile, no, that is 20 per 20. Then it's 90 per 90, and the joint between them. Then it's much easier to put a socket on them. We are going to see how. I'm not going to stop here. But this is the inner facade covering the cork, where we decide to run with vertical joints in order to show that this is not a structural wall. It's just a finition. Then they are not placed like AB, but it's just like vertical, no? And when this touches to certain building elements, in order not to cut neither of these ones, we put like these libraries of tiles, no? All around the place, and also in the corners, no? However, we had this problem, no? We have all the electricity coming out of the wall, no? But of course we have this magical element, very, very complex, no? As you can imagine, no? This is infra technology. That just with some holes, no? You obtain the solution for having the electricity and the sockets on it, no? Then we add the partitions in wood. I'm not going to stop because I know it's too late. I'm not going to stop with the joints that we study with the carpenter in order not to have screws on it. No, we study with them one by one, and we place them by millimeters, no, on site, no, with him and with Vicente, the owner, that sometimes seems to be the carpenter. This is the owner, not the carpenter. And okay, we were in electricity. Then we have to put over this like ceiling, no? We have to put the bulbs, the lightings, no? And of course, we didn't want to cut it. We didn't want to walk inside of it. Then instead of hiding the cables, we're going to have from the plugs, we are going to have a cable that will run inside of a tube, and will drop the bulb at the end of it. And this tube will be like very in contrast with the rough surface of the existing ceiling, no? Instead of having a rough tube, it will be like a very shiny one, completely in contrast with the existing, no? Then we obtain this, okay, you plug here, I'm looking up now, no? Then you plug here, you want your bulb there, then you have this shape, it doesn't matter, you can do whatever you want, no? You put the cables inside, no? Then you drop the bulb wherever you want. They can be double, they can be single, they can laugh, and this is the system, no? And this is how, well, more or less the final result, no? And this is before adding the woods that now they are also finished, no? We add them just like another layer. And this is how it is more or less today. It's a few months ago, but now it just stopped again. That you see, well, all the layers, no, the partitions, the lightings, etc. and some funny moments that we also need as architects. If we have more time, we could explain also this other project that talks about also layers of elements adding in the same space. This is the showroom, also a very big project from us. It's a 36 square meter project. No? Then it's the showroom for the tile maker, this hydraulic tile producer, no? Where the tiles are understood as an art piece, no? And are placed like independently of the wall that they normally have on site, no? Then we built like these layers of material. We are not going to enter in any of them, but it's like placing the material out of its place in order to show that the construction system, it's made of layers of material, no? Huh? Yeah. If we move to the next topic, could be craftsmanship of how to make perfect things by hand, no? Or perhaps imperfect things, no? Sometimes when we do things by hand, we just touch it, no? And we feel that perfection, no? That is not completely smooth, it's not industrial, but it's made like with the most beautiful precision that we have, that we can have as human beings, no? People that works with hands also talk with hands, no? This is this old man that builds a church, no? Sigurd Leverens, more than 80 years old, and going there and placing the bricks one by one, no? Cutting, no one, and this is our Sigurd Leverens, Mr. John Knudson, no? Like on site, placing tiles and looking very carefully to every detail, no? For working with this, we need to know our net of craftsmen that we have in the island. This is a carpenter in Palma, or a tile maker. This is a clay factory, no? And this is the hydraulic tile factory. We need to know all these guys, people, and resources that we have around, no? Just to work with them together, no? This is the other Richard Sennett book, not the very well-known one, but the other one called Together, no? That you have to feel like one more of them, no? Or they have to feel one of you, no? Working with the tools to make incredible objects. This is a violin tool, violin maker tool bots, no? These are this is a project for tourist apartments in the north of the islands. Tourist apartment that you can rent every year, no? And they don't belong to me. I don't have anything to win. But well, this is the sea. It's just in front of the sea, and the owner has bought two properties, 1 and 2, and in this case they had all the closed rooms, like in these chaotical positions, no? That nothing was interesting in this sense, no? And we were wondering why we couldn't open the back street to the sea, no? In order to get the breath from the sea, the views to the sea, etc. No? Then the strategy was clear. We need to organize the closed rooms into the party walls in order to obtain this transparency, no? And this was the previous stage, and this was the reorganized space, no? Then there are just 4 apartments, no? And as you can see, all the services, stairs, bathrooms, closets, kitchens are in this perimeter, no? In order to get this transparency to the sea, no? Well, this is not interesting, but here you see this longitudinal transparency that we obtain after finishing it, no? But when you build in a building that is already built, no? That was like a refurbishment, no? And you have this only one space, no? You are defining this space with the material that builds this space, no? In this case, the owner was the same as the last apartment, this Vicens, no? And we were, like in his apartment, we were playing with this simple piece, no? Putting it not in the normal position, no? And in this case, we decided to work again with clay, and some pieces related to it, like variations of the same piece that they produce in the same factory, no? And with the same piece that we have seen before, but the normal one, not the adjustment one, defining all this perimeter, like with modules, not cutting any one of them, no? And defining these walls that are going to be in the interior of the house, defining all this perimeter. Why these bricks are placed like this? They are placed like this in different ways, in different senses, no? One is because this is a thermal, and it can be a thermal brick, it can be a bearing wall brick. But the bearing walls were already built, the structure was built, then there weren't a bearing bricks, and they were not isolating, because behind them there is isolation. Then we put them in another position, just having this, we can say decoration, we can say like finishing, we can say decoration in the Semper way, no? Like the style that is this, that is defining all this interior. In the same way that these small figures do. These are whistles that the people working in the field used to have to call the ships, no? But they have colors, they try to be nice also, no? Then we have also to try to be nice to people and to the people that are going to use the building.
It's a dress.
See, like dressing the architecture in a sense, no? Then once again, Vicente placing the electricity, no? In this case was very, very, very simple. We just put it, retreated half centimeter, no? In order to have the system. And very nice situations occurs in the corners when we don't want to join them at all. We don't want to join them because they are not a structure. They are just finishing. I'm going to move faster. And also the pavement, no? Here we brought a lesson that we learn with the tile maker, with the hydraulic tile maker, no? We learned that a pavement of tiles is not only a pavement of tiles, it's a pavement of tiles plus the joining between them. Then the joint is part of it must be part of the project, no? Then different elements came, no? Just building plinths, building sockles, building benches, building stairs, and everything seems that is built with the same resource, the clay that we have, no? Some funny moments like this bloody, shiny tiles around the existing structure, or making the horizontal surface of the exterior benches in order not to get them dirty in the second the second month, no? And also we use them inside the bathrooms, in the areas that are possibly more wet, no? And very rough materials, the reinforcing bars of steel that are normally used to reinforce the concrete were used as fences, no? And once again, the detail of the hot sheet of iron with the hot sheet of iron, no? Well, I'm going to move fast because it's late. And then just to allow the life to come in as a final layer, no? All the furniture that is there is made by hand, sometimes copied from this Enzo Mari book or instructions that he gave us, no? Sometimes done by this more than 80 years old guy that has been more than 60 years doing just rocky chairs, no? This is the transparency to the sea, no? I'm not going to explain this, but I'm sure that you know why these flowers are here. I'm not going to explain either this pavement, but I would like to. Perhaps afterwards we have some more time. and Vicente with Gabriel, his son. If we had a bit more time, we could explain you how we work and how we try to think also by hand, not doing renders, but building models. No? When you build a model, mainly these ones that are not 1 to 40 that we saw before, but 1 to 15. 1 to 10 is better, but it's very big. And 1 to 15 is big enough for our tiny studio that we don't have that much space, no? But the models are elements, are objects that have to build, no? Render, never fall a render. I have never seen a render falling, but I have seen models falling, no? Then you can... Okay, we are in a hurry. I'm not going to explain this last project because they told me to stop. Then I am so sorry. Thank you. We're just going to see the pictures. I'm so sorry.